So here in part 2 of module 2 we'll be discussing managing groups. From the courseware of Site Admin, this covers topics E, F and G in module 2, which is custom groups, managing users in a group and user group within a list item. Now to start this off, we often hear many people say that inside a typical collaboration site, owners, members and visitors groups should be sufficient. I've personally found from a lot of companies and customers that this isn't always the case. We often hear where companies use power users, super users, champions to manage many of the site requirements and content on behalf of their manager. The manager typically being the site owner. So a site owner might delegate tasks for maintenance to these power users or super users. For that reason, I'm going to create a power users group and I'm going to add Colin Harvey and Derek Hall, who are fictitious users in our classroom image. In addition, I'm going to add Amanda Harris as a deputy site owner. So, I'm inside the project instructor website, and the first thing I'm going to do is add a new group to my site collection. I'm at the top of my site. Just click on my navigate up button to show I'm at the top of my site collection. And this is useful because when you want to create a group and assign permissions to the group, you need to be at the parent site. This is not necessarily the top level site, it needs to be the highest site where the permission inheritance begins. So I'm going to be going into site actions and into site settings and into people and groups. Okay, so by default I'm looking at the members group within my site collection. If I want to look at all the groups in summary, there are two places I can go. One is to click on the groups heading on the quick launch pane here, or I can click on this more link at the bottom. I'll give that a click, and here are all the groups that are inside my site collection. This is a complete collection of all my groups, whether they are permitted or they have permissions or not. This is everybody inside the site collection. So I'm going to create a new group. Click new and group. I could have clicked directly on the new hyperlink, and now I'm going to go into the name box and type in the name power users. But it's always a good idea to define the site that this group is mainly or ideally created for. So for example, if I had created a blog site, I might have blog approvers and I might have project instructor approvers. The important thing is having the site name at the beginning of the group 6 months down the line reminds you for whereabouts or the highest site point in the hierarchy where you intended to use that group. So project instructor power users. Going to define a quick description about that group. Users who report to the site owner and maintain the site content. So I'm going to scroll down and look at the rest of these features. Who owns the group? Well, instructor owns the group. Who can view the members inside of this group? Well, I'm only going to allow the members of the group themselves to look at each other and see who else is in their team. It's a good sort of collaboration. Who can edit the membership? Well, I just want the group owner to be responsible for the adding, the deleting, the hiring and firing of the group members. Do you want to allow requests to join and leave this group? So can anyone join? No, the owner will be specifically choosing people that are skilled in that area. So therefore I don't need to think about auto accepting any requests from people. If I scroll down, you can see because I'm at the parent level of the site collection where the permissions begin, I'm able to specify a permission level. I'm going to choose full control. I'm going to click create, and by default the owner, the creator, is assigned inside that group. So I'm now going to add Colin Harvey and Derek Hall. Just check their names are valid, and I'm not going to send them an email, and I'm going to click on OK. So I have my two new members inside this power users group. What I also want to do is go into the Project Instructor Owners group and add Amanda Harris. So same thing again, just click on New, Add Users, and add Amanda Harris, and there they are. Now, I can add new users, I can also remove users. Because I now have Amanda Harris as my deputy site owner, I don't need this SharePoint admin account to be there. So I'm going to tick that, and with my Actions menu here, I can now remove that user from this particular group. Are you sure? Yep, absolutely. And there he is gone. So I'm now going to just review the groups that I have in summary. There they all are. If I ever wanted to edit one of these groups, if I wanted to delete one of these groups, conveniently down the middle here I have these edit icons. So if I wanted to edit the power users, change the configuration some way, just give that a click. There is all the information again. The only thing I can't change from here is the permissions. Now that they've been assigned, I would need to go to the site permissions as a more appropriate manner to modify those, which we will do later. At this point, I can also delete this group if it's no longer required. Nothing changed, so I'm going to click on Cancel. That takes me back to my members group. Now, what you also saw earlier in part 1 is a way to contact all the users within a group. So let me just tick a couple of these users, or I could have just cheated and tick that little box at the top there to do the everyone in the group, and then go to Actions, and I'm going to click Email Users. It tells me a website wants to open web content using this program, so I'm going to click Allow, and that will now open up my Microsoft Outlook and generate a brand new email. There are other methods of contact available inside this group's Actions menu, such as Call, Message, Selected Users. Now, we don't have Microsoft Link installed, but a clever little trick is to log into your Microsoft Office 365 account, where on the main page you are able to install Link to your machine. If you do this in advance before the course starts, you can use this as a way of demonstrating. Now, although I've only got my Microsoft Link connected to my Office 365 user account, I can cheat. I can get so far and do a bit of demonstration. And the trick is to tick my own login in the SharePoint classroom. So as instructor, I'll tick instructor, go to Actions, and Call, Message, Selected Users. It's going to ping back on itself, and it will show that I'm presence unknown because it can't contact me, but I can still demonstrate connecting to an IM, starting a video call, showing what happens when it goes engaged. There you go. And I can show how I can share my desktop, I can share programs that are running. I've got a Adobe Acrobat Reader running, and of course my Internet Explorer. So you can show how you can access various things live. Like my whiteboard, do a bit of drawing. They might find this quite fun if they're just as sad as I am. So there we go. A little introduction to how we can use that call feature using Microsoft Link. And you don't have to have Link installed on the server. We can use our Office 365 link just to sneakily demonstrate. Now, the last demonstration in this video is to show you how to use your groups within list items. So, for example, I've created a new power users, and my purpose is to communicate with them and provide them with tasks that need completing. But I only want those group members to be working with those tasks. So, for example, I'll go to the tasks list, I'll add a new item, and the new item will be to create a support forum. This is actually quite a high priority, hasn't started yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign this to my project instructor power users. I'm just going to get enough of the text there, so I'll click the check names, just give it a click. There we go. So what I've done is I've actually specified this task is to be assigned to any members of that group. So I'm now going to save this task, and there it is. Now don't forget, the instructor as well as Colin and Derek is a member of this group, power users. So if I go in there and click on that item, you can see it's assigned to the group. What I can do as a member of the power users is claim that task for myself. Window pops up saying, okay, of all the tasks you had in that previous page, you have now made this one yours. So if I close that window down, I'm going to refresh the page just by pressing F5. You can see it's now assigned to me, and the others will be notified probably through alerts or an email that I've now picked up this task. If I feel that I can't deal with this task and I need to hand it back to my group, if I click back on that same task, I can release this and it remembers the original group it came from and passes it back to them. Now, as well as tasks, you can also assign groups to workflows, such as approval workflows, and it works in pretty much the same way. So groups have a much bigger purpose than just sticking users in them and assigning permissions. You can interact with your groups, give them that purpose of that role they're doing,